Let's jump right into today's explainer, where we are unpacking what is easily one of the most bizarre and hilarious wildlife rescues we've seen yet. Picture this, right? You're sitting at your kitchen table, half asleep, reaching for your morning breakfast delivery, and bam! Suddenly you're at the center of an epic coastal rescue mission. It's an absolutely wild story that blends your typical, chaotic family morning with a totally unexpected marine encounter. So, what would you actually do if you found a live sea turtle in your breakfast burger? Because that's exactly what happens here. The mom, Emma, opens their delivery order and she spots this unusually large, honestly perfect-looking burger. But when she peels back the wrapper, there's no double patty with cheese. Nope. It is a tiny, living, breathing baby sea turtle sitting right there. I mean, the sheer shock of that moment is just fantastic. Like, how did it even get in there? Did it just wander into the kitchen at the restaurant? We don't really get the logistics of it all, but the immediate reality is undeniable. There's literally a wild marine animal hanging out on the kitchen table, and this family has to spring into action. And you know exactly how kids react, right? They immediately want to keep him. They decide his name is Donnie. The dad, though, he hilariously campaigns for the name Burger Turtle just based on how ridiculously he arrived. Emma, being the voice of reason, points out, hey, he came out of a burger, but this isn't a regular pet store turtle. I think this is a baby sea turtle. But for the kids, especially Peter, this is like the ultimate opportunity for a new best friend. He actually argues the turtle, quote-unquote, shows them by showing up at their house. This naming debate is just brilliant. It hits the nail on the head for how differently we all process surprise. The kids want a normal name like Donnie, and the dad is just fully leaning into the sheer absurdity of it all, stubbornly calling him Burger Turtle. Now, as you can see, this sparks that classic family debate. On one side, the kids want to treat Donnie basically like a doll. They're pitching ideas for tiny turtle beds, little jackets, and cool boy hats, because obviously, cool turtles wear sunglasses. But on the flip side, the parents are holding down the fort with nature's rules. They firmly remind the kids that wild sea turtles belong in the wild ocean. I mean, these babies hatch on sandy beaches, and their ultimate destination, their true home, is the vast sea. Keeping a wild animal forever just isn't an option. So, they reach a compromise, a strictly temporary rescue. They have to put aside the cool boy hats and focus on actual, science-based animal care. And this right here is a really vital pivot in the story. They agree they can help him, but just for now. It totally shifts the kids from being would-be pet owners into active wildlife rescuers. It gives them a real mission. They aren't keeping Donnie, they're facilitating his survival until he can safely be returned to where he truly belongs. The dad lays out these 3 non-negotiable steps to keep Donnie safe and healthy for the short term. To basically simulate his natural environment, Donnie needs 3 things: sand to rest on, shallow water to stay hydrated, and warmth to regulate his body temperature. It's like a mini ecosystem. So the family immediately heads out on a shopping trip to grab these exact basics, having to actively reject all the crazy novelty pet toys the kids keep trying to sneak into the cart. And while they're picking up those basic supplies, we get a really fun biological fact. At the store, the kids are still begging for a cool boy hat because, well, they named him Donnie, but the clerk rightfully points out that you can't just declare an animal's gender based on a name you gave it. I mean, that's not exactly science. The clerk tells them that with baby sea turtles, it's actually really hard to tell if it's a boy or a girl. The physical markers just aren't obvious yet. It's a great little learning moment, and the kids totally accept that Donnie is just Donnie. They're perfectly happy with their new friend, no matter what. Moving on to the missing turtle discovery. So they set up this perfect, simple little home for Donnie, but disaster strikes the very next day. When Peter gets home from school, he rushes to check on his buddy, and the enclosure is completely empty. Donnie is literally gone, and the only clue left behind, a strange, single feather that definitely wasn't there before. Let's look at the timeline of this great kidnapping. It reveals that a sneaky bird has broken in, snatched Donnie, and thrown the family into an absolute panic. In the morning, Peter leaves for school and the temporary habitat is totally secure. But by midday, while the house is quiet, the heist happens. Then in the afternoon, Peter discovers the empty enclosure and that lingering feather. You know, he feels terrible, thinking he should have just stayed home. But the family rallies together. By evening, they vow to hit the streets the next day to look for him, declaring that whoever took Donnie seriously picked the wrong family to mess with. So they hit the streets, they're walking through town, Peter is super down about the whole thing, but then their attention is grabbed. They hear this distinct, greedy, repeating sound that just cuts right through all the neighborhood noise. Mine, mine, mine! It's this frantic, repetitive squawk. They follow the noise, sandals slapping against the pavement, sprinting toward the commotion, just hoping beyond hope that it leads them to their missing burger turtle. And that brings us to the skateboard rescue mission. What they find next is just unbelievable. They round the corner and spot the culprit. It's a greedy seagull. But it's not just holding Donnie, it's actually skateboarding down the street. I mean, it is a completely surreal, chaotic, and hilarious visual. The bird that broke into their house to steal a turtle is now casually pulling off extreme sports with its stolen prize. You literally can't make this stuff up. Here's how this epic getaway goes down. Peter does not hesitate. He bravely steps right into the path of this skateboarding bird and declares, "That's my turtle." He actually manages to snatch Donnie safely back. But the seagull is furious, aggressively squawking, "Mine," like it's trying to argue property rights or something. And worse, it calls in backup. An entire flock of its seagull friends starts swarming. The family has to make an absolute mad dash to their car, throw everyone inside, except the birds, of course, and speed off to safety. It's a wildly successful, totally adrenaline-fueled rescue mission. Now, returning to the ocean, after the crazy adrenaline rush of that getaway, the family realizes it's finally time to do the hardest part of any temporary rescue: saying goodbye. They saved Donnie from the breakfast burger, and they saved him from a skateboarding seagull gang. But with Donnie safely back in their hands, they drive straight to the shoreline. Because the mission isn't truly over until Donnie is back where he belongs. Standing out there on a super windy beach, they get ready to release him. Peter is understandably heartbroken. I mean, he's going to miss his tiny friend. But his mom delivers this beautiful, grounding piece of wisdom. She says that's what love does. It helps even when saying goodbye is hard. And that hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? True wildlife care isn't about keeping an animal for your own entertainment. It's about doing the absolute right thing for their survival, no matter how much you've bonded with them. Finally, reunited with family. As Donnie bravely enters the water, adult sea turtles actually breach the surface to welcome him home. Peter tries to blame his tears on the windy air, but you can tell he's just incredibly proud of what they've accomplished. They watch Donnie paddle out into the surf, and his real family comes for him. This whole temporary rescue mission, which all started with a breakfast delivery mix-up, ends exactly as it should, with nature restoring its balance. So, what's the big takeaway from Donnie's wild ride? Beyond knowing the science of building a temporary habitat, the real lesson here is that true care means knowing when to let go. But as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final question to test your memory of this entire chaotic coastal heist. Think back to that epic chase. What is the one word the greedy skateboarding seagull kept repeating? Let that echo in your mind. And hey, always double-check your breakfast deliveries.